Yo, so the main card. Oh man, the main card is just stacked. Just stacked, people. It is crazy. All could be main events. You know what I mean? All could be main events. Right? We start off with the light heavyweight. We have got Nikita Krylov, right, against Dominick Reyes. So the devastator, Dominick Reyes, man, right? He's 35, 6'4", 77-inch reach on a 2-fight win streak. Dom turned it around. You know what I mean? He's 8-4 in the UFC. Fought once for the LFA. You know, his last 2 fights, he beat Dustin Jacoby and Anthony Smith. Both stoppages. A first round and a second round. The last fight was December last year. You know? So, man, he's really got his groove back. You know what I mean? He's going up against the minor, Nikita Krylov. And, he's 32, 6'3", 77.5-inch reach. He's on a 3-fight win streak, you know, which is great. He is 11-7 in the UFC. He last fought Ryan Spann, right? They both fought Ryan Spann. You know, Reyes lost and Nikita got the first round finish via triangle. That, though, was March 2023. Right? It's been a little while since we've seen Nikita. But yeah, he put, Volkan Odersmir, Alexander Gustafsson, right? 2-time title challenger, and he stopped him in the first round with punches. You know? So it's just like he has fought some and got some great wins. He was getting that momentum. Because, it'd been a little up and down for him, you know? He'd beaten some big people, but yeah, then, as I say, a little up and down, but he was getting his flow back, right? Getting his flow back. But I think it was just injuries that have kind of prevented that. So, this fight, right? Because, I think if Krylov wins, he could potentially get a shot at the belt. Because obviously, right, there's the rematch first, right? But he could be next in line. Because, everyone else has kind of fought for it. So, if you're looking for new, fresh challengers, he's right there. You know what I mean? So it definitely makes it interesting. So you're like, oh man, what could happen? And Reyes, right? He's now got his groove back and he fought more recently. So where's it going to go? I am going to go with Krylov. Right? I think Reyes is great. I'm so glad he got his flow back because, he's talented. That was clear to see. Right? It was just for whatever reason, just not working out in there. So I'm glad he's got it back. But Krylov, I think he's got that good ground game and his striking has vastly improved as well. And I think that just gives him the edge. So I'm going Nikita for the win. Right? So next up, people, we have got... What is our next fight? Oh, shit. It's another featherweight clash. And this one, whoo, we have Yair Rodríguez against Patrício Pitbull. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Right? So Patrício Pitbull. Man. Right? Former Bellator champion. He's 37, 5'6", 65.5-inch reach. Like, he's coming off a win in his last fight. Right? Which, he had a 24-6 record in Bellator. You know what I mean? Which is crazy. So he beat Jeremy Kennedy in March 2024. Right? That was his last fight for Bellator. The whole PFL thing just never... You know what I mean? Never brought anything to the table. Right? And that was writing a bit of a slump because, you know, he'd lost a couple. Lost to Sergio Pettis and then Shitiro Suzuki. So that Kennedy win was a good look. But before that, you know, he'd got 3 wins. You know, he's like he avenged a loss to AJ McKee. You know? So he's got submissions, he's got knockouts, it's all there. It's all there. Now, he is facing El Pantera, Yair Rodríguez, who is 32, 5'11", 71-inch reach. So Yair is taller. And he's got a 5.5-inch reach advantage, which is impressive. Now, Yair's coming off 2 losses. Right? He's coming off 2 losses. He's 10-4 in the UFC, 1 no contest. But those losses, right? There was Brian Ortega and Alexander Volkanovski, which are, you know, top of the food chain fighters, right? He won the interim belt against Josh Emmett, and he'd beaten Ortega previously. So it's just like, you know what I mean? He had the win over Jeremy Stevens, Chung Song Yong, right? BJ Penn, Alex Calaveras, Andre Feely, Dan Hooker, Charles Rosa. You know, he had some, and you can never forget the insane elbow on the Korean Zombie. You know, in literally the last second of the fight, it was just like, what is that, people? What the fuck is that? You know what I mean? So it's oh yeah, that was a Trang Song Young. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, so he is mad skilled. He has got submissions and he's got strikes, but his strikes are unorthodox, coming from different fucking angles. You know what I mean? Like crazy angles. So that's why this is so interesting. And I know Pitbull, he is very good on the ground. He's a black belt, right? He's a black belt. But I think with all of this time away with Rodríguez, you know, this time away, and every time we see him get in there are improvements. There are crazy improvements. Like when we saw what he did to Josh Emmett, it's just like, oh shit. So I think he's been working, sharpening that blade. And I think, right? I think it's a tough fight. But I think this is, this is it. I think he's going to get the win. and, you know what I mean, pour some water on Pitbull's UFC debut. So, next up, right, our featured fight of the night. It's another featherweight clash. As I said, they're on show today, people. We have Bryce Mitchell against Han Silva, right? Lord Jean Silva. He is 28, 5'7", 69-inch reach on a 12-fight win streak. 12-fight win streak, which is crazy. He's 4-0 in the UFC. Came via the Contender Series, you know, and he's just been sleeping cats, right? All these UFC fights were finishes. His Contender Series went the distance against Kevin Valjas, right? And we know what a dog he is. Right, but he's just been sleeping, motherfuckers, you know. He does have a couple of submissions outside, guillotine, right? So he is skilled, he is dangerous, he's coming from the fighting nerds, right? Now, he's going up against Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell, 30 years old, 5'10", 70-inch reach. All right, so, yeah, he's slightly taller, got a 1-inch reach advantage, you know. He's coming off a win in his last fight, which was impressive. He's 8-2 in the UFC. Yeah, and his last fight was the finish of Kron Gracie, right? December last year. So that's huge, right? Beating Kron Gracie. He had that devastating loss to Josh Emmett. But before that, he beat Dan Ige, right? So, I mean, this is, you know, oh man, it's such a, because, right, Bryce Mitchell is a little bit crazy. Has some crazy faults, which is fine. Who gives a fuck, right? Because we're gonna meet so many people that have things in their head that you're just like, hold on a second, son. You know what I mean? So he can think the world's flat. I don't give a fuck, right? And I do think sometimes when people say, you know, like all the Hitler stuff, maybe Bryce is a little bipolar, right? A little Kanye, you know what I mean? Which is just like, yeah, sometimes you just have to understand people gonna say some crazy stuff and they don't necessarily mean it, you know? But maybe that is the case with Bryce. I don't know. What I do know, though, the UFC sent him to the woodshed, right? Sent him to the woodshed because it's just like, yo, don't say that shit. You know what I mean? Don't say that shit. You're representing our brand, son. And so it's just like, yo, you gotta go. You've got to face your little punishment, right? He ain't getting given the cane. He's been given Lord Jean Silva, which, I mean, a lot of people would just be like, yo, I'd rather have the cat of nine tails, you know what I mean? And, you know, Bryce is talented, right? Regardless of everything else, he's a talented motherfucker. But here's the thing, right? He does get hit. You know, Emmett did. I mean, we know Emmett hit him, right? But Ige hit him. I think Kron even, probably laid one on him, right? He can mitigate things, but he does get hit. And when it comes to, Sean Silva, all it takes is one. All it takes is one. And Bryce, he's beat Edson Barbosa. Right? Edson Barbosa, Charles Rosa, Andre Feely, Matt Sales, right? He's beaten some really good people. He really has. But there's just certain level of power which is ungodly. Now, Bryce does have, a direct line to God, so maybe he can make a call and sort something out, but I don't think he's got time for that, right? So I think Jean Silva is going to get it done. Now, Bryce, if he can take him to the ground, maybe, right, he can sub him, right? Because we haven't really seen Silva's ground game, right, a lot. So maybe Bryce can pull it out. But gun to the head, you know what I mean? Gun to the head. You gotta say, Sean Silva getting the W, baby. But boy, what a fight. What a fight. And the next two fights are just better and better. What a card, people.